What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Darian Jones of Honor Kings and Sons TV podcast. Thank you so much for always tuning in. I appreciate every single download from all around the world. I am so excited about the fall season. Summer is almost up. We have just made our way into July. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, July 2nd, 2024. So I want to be able to let you guys know that as we are approaching the fall season, I want to make sure that I hit you guys with a lot of different topics. I want you to be able to join my Discord. The link is in the description. And make sure that if you are brand new to the podcast, you are typing in Honor Kings and Sons on Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn to find my social media platform. Be informed with everything that is happening on my platforms. So I want to get into today. Today I want to talk about divorce for a little bit. And I believe that the reason divorce is high is because inheritance is low. So let me get into that for a little bit. So I am a person that my platform for Honor Kings and Sons TV is to really help people find their kingdom. I believe that everybody is a king and a queen. And regardless what cards you were dealt in life, you were created and you were designed to be a ruler. Okay, whether your parents are in your life or not, you are designed to rule and have dominion within your life. And so, Honor Kings and Sons, we believe in helping people by tackling different subjects and presenting it from a biblical worldview in order for them to be empowered to go and be a great ruler. And when it comes to divorce, divorce is always a nasty thing. It's so unfortunate. It's a thing that's talked about in the Bible that God hates divorce, and we've probably heard thousands of church sermons for those of us who may be faith based tuning in today, or we may have just seen countless friends of ours, family members, co workers, people we went to school with, that they come from divorced households. And a lot of people, say, oh, it's because, they just weren't meant for each other. It could have been cheating and infidelity. It could have been a lot of different things why people get divorced. And, there are some reasons that are pretty extreme, and it really just is down to the choice of the individual or the party or the couple at hand if they want to do so, as they call it now, irreconcilable differences. But I believe the underlying reason why divorce is so high is because inheritance from your family is low. So let's get into that for a little bit. So when you look into the history of how families have been structured from the beginning of time, for those of you who don't believe so, I believe that the family is a divine institution created by God. So I believe that the family is designed for everything about God's sovereignty, His justice, His blessings, prosperity, His protection, His mercy. Everything is manifested through the structure of the family, and even God's kingdom is reflected in how family is supposed to be operated. A lot of us can benefit from the structure of a family that is orchestrated the way God intended it to be. And a lot of us go through life bearing a lot of scars and pains because our family was not structured, or we were born into a family that did not have the intended structure of family that God wanted us all to experience. So when you look into the history of the world, every civilization going back to the Sumerians in Mesopotamia, all the empires of the world, the family was structured to what? Have an inheritance. The father would build a life with his wife, right? And once once the wife would become pregnant, right? It was time to make sure that the provision of what they had was to be passed down and adequately able to be handled by the children. And of course, for a long period of time, and even still to this day, it was always intended for more boys to be born than it was for girls, because boys could be they could play a lot of different roles in carrying on the inheritance of the father. Now, the father It's, he's the provider, he's the protector. Depending on what time in history and what civilization, there were certain things that had to be accumulated in order for an inheritance to be passed down. You had to have some type of land, you had to have your livestock, you had to have your skills, you had to have your commodities, you had to have your trade, you had to have your resources, you had to have some type of financial infrastructure that allowed the family to be able to be as free and prosperous as possible. And when your time as a father has ended and you pass on, that your sons can take up the responsibility. And if you had daughters, that they would be able to live comfortably along with your wife in the infrastructure that you have created. So when you look, as time has gone on in history, more and more civilizations and more families, there has been less and less inheritances that have been left behind. And so we are now in a society where we have the millennials, they have risen up and they're building wealth. We have a lot of different, structures. We have the new term alternate lifestyles. We have all these different situations that people are getting themselves involved in. And what is happening is that none of those situations are generating any wealth with the intent to pass it down to children. I mean, if you look at people who are getting married now, many people want to be married, they don't want to have children. And what's the reason? The economy is bad. Many countries are at war. There's a lot of social injustice. There's a lot of fear in the world. So with those situations, a lot of people don't want to put children in harm's way. And I respect it. I get it, right? You feel that the ultimate safety measure that you can take is prevention, is to not let it happen at all. I totally understand it. But one of the things that we have to understand is that the life that we have been given did not come to us as a result of these precautions being taken by our previous generation. We have been blessed with the opportunity to experience life because there was an intent, whether it was within the family that you were born into or the higher intent of a higher power, for you to be able to have the experience of growing up in a household where you have resources, where you have love, where you have care, where you have provision, and where you have the opportunity to experience wealth, life, and longevity on this planet. And so a lot of people have drifted more and more from that. So when we get into, today's society, a lot of people, when it gets to relationships, society has thrown out so many different mechanisms and modifications and unrealistic expectations between two individuals. When it comes to relationships, you always hear about, oh, it should be 100-0. The man gives 100%, the woman gives 0, so that the woman can be provided for and that she can just be a nurturer at home with the children. If they choose to have children, it should be 50-50. We should work together. Some people say it should be 100-100, meaning that we don't share the responsibilities. We both go after the responsibilities 100%, and whatever is extra, we can use that to store away for a rainy day. There's so many different infrastructures. Of course, if you identify as LGBTQ, the infrastructure. It can be you live an alternative lifestyle, and you can enjoy the bliss of being married, even though in some situations, or if not most to all situations, the issue of raising children is a controversial concern. One being that if you are man and man, you cannot produce children. You only can adopt unless you use a surrogate. And the same thing with women on women, unless you have artificial insemination, things like that. Then you guys naturally cannot bring children into the world, and that always brings up a lot of controversy because people including myself, we argue the fact of, if you were to allow this lifestyle to exist for 50 years, you know, where would the continuing, where would the continuation of the lifestyle lead to? Because there is no way for procreation to take place if majority of the relationships out there are LGBTQ and things like that. But that's a conversation for another day. And I do have content that I'm starting to put up talking about my viewpoints on those things. So I'll put that to the side for now. But getting back to the issue of divorce, you have the fact that when it comes to marriages and couples today, a lot of people are, they are in financial binds. They are in challenging situations where they have to struggle to create some type of financial freedom for themselves and for their families, or even just for themselves and their loved ones. So whenever it gets tight with the bills, it gets tight with people being able to prosper. If the husband wants to build a dream company, if the wife wants to do so, and there's just not enough resources, then that's where people decide, you know what, maybe we're not meant to be together. Maybe it just wasn't meant to work for us. And as a result, people, go their separate ways. And like I said, there's many reasons that people get divorced. But if you pay attention to the structure of family, the structure of family was designed for there to be a source. The structure of family was designed for there to be a well to pull from, so that there is strength, there is confidence, there is aid, there are tools available for your dream to be manifested. And so the famous saying that's going around now, if you don't come from a wealthy family must come from you. There are 7 spheres of wealth. You have your health, you have the social wealth, you have your physical wealth, you have your financial wealth, you have your mental wealth, you have all these different sectors of wealth that you need to work on every single day, and you need to be building, so that when it's time for it to be passed down, your family can live a prosperous life because of these different sectors of wealth that have been created from within the family and for the family to enjoy for generations to come. And so I believe that divorce is high because all of those different spheres of wealth that are supposed to be strong from the family infrastructure, they're not, or they're non-existent. And so people who decide that they're going to go out, find a partner to become married, they don't have a source to pull from. If I would be as bold to say 60 to 70% of married couples do not have strong family relationships when it comes to the family lines and the bloodlines they come from. So they have to find a way to create it within themselves. And because it's so much trauma, there's so many culture clashes. There's so many differences that arise when you're trying to come together and be one. A lot of people give up. And so I believe that if you are married today, if you are considering being married today, that it is possible that you can live a prosperous, you can have a prosperous marriage if you make the decision that you are going to devise a plan to build wealth for your family to enjoy. And I'm not just talking financial wealth, I'm talking the different spheres of wealth that exist in order for people to be healthy in your circle and in your family. And it's a difficult process. It is not easy at all, but it is worthwhile. And I really want you guys to look at the world today, look at the divorce rate, look at what marriages are looking like culturally, racially, right? And look at all the reasons even Hollywood and TV and media, promote marriage and promote, the good part, the bad part about marriage, and look at where it's stemming from, right? Even if it's a popular one, like the sexual pleasure that people talk about in marriage, right? We have to understand the history of marriage, right? Originally, marriage was designed for you to enjoy sex, but also for sex to have a procreating factor where it allows the expansion of families to take place. And so a lot of people have over saturated and overindulged in sex so much that they want it for one reason, they don't want it for the other. And so that plays into a factor as well, is that you have to be careful that you are not overindulging in the pleasures of marriage, that you're ruining how they're supposed to be something that is meant to be enjoyed in a healthy standpoint and over time, right? So we have a lot of people that, when it comes on the subject of marriage, oh, if I'm going to be married, I have to make sure that X, Y, and Z is going to be consistent. Well, you have to understand that when you decide you're going to get married, the person that could be the polar opposite or can be very much compatible and very much like you, that you guys are of two different anatomies and your anatomies change, your interests change, your moods change. So you have to always constantly invest the time to develop with one another and study one another. A lot of people, the thrill in which their relationship was founded upon, that thrill has died off, and psychologically, they still think that they can reenact it over and over and over again. And this is where there's a level of immaturity that comes into marriage. That is one of the reasons why it begins to deteriorate and begins to walk down the path of destruction. We must understand that we as people are constantly growing and constantly evolving. And even in marriage, you have to always be reinventing and reinvesting yourself into your spouse. The minute you stop that is the minute you start to see the decay and the downfall. So I encourage you guys to really understand that when it comes to marriage, there must be an investing. There must be a mindset to give, to be selfless. There must be a mindset to look ahead and to plan. There must be a mindset to cultivate. The number one thing, if I was ever invited to a marriage seminar, conference, panel, I would tell young couples, and I would even tell couples that's 10 years in, 15 years in, is that you must learn the art of cultivation, the ability to create something in a place where it doesn't exist, right? Learn the art of planting seeds, learn the art of affirmation, learn to use faith and have faith in your partner, that what they don't have, they can grow into it, and that it can be something that you do see manifesting in their life. And it may manifest in a way that you didn't expect it, but at least appreciate their efforts and determination. But these are the reasons why we have to fight for healthy marriages, because for the more that we continue to birth and raise young people and raise adults who everything has a selfish format and it's all to please themselves, divorce will continue to go up. And yes, you do have those situations. Like I said, if there's abuse, if there is just a particular situation that's just difficult to get yourself out of, it boils down to it being a choice where, do you want to go through the fire and deal with it and reconcile or not, right? Because at the end of the day, people have their free will. But like I said, in terms of just the divorce rate going up, I really believe it's just preparing people, structuring people, and allowing people to have the counsel, the resources, and teaching people to have some good old wit and grit in order to grind through the tough times. This is Darian Jones of Honor Kings and Sons TV podcast. Please make sure that you join my Discord. You follow me on all social media platforms. I have 2 YouTube channels. My first YouTube channel is D Jones HKS. I put a lot of funny content and different things on there to help people get a laugh throughout the day. I hope that you will subscribe to that YouTube channel, and anytime you're looking for something funny to watch, you check out my page. And then, of course, Honor Kings and Sons TV. When you type that in, you will see my podcast platform on YouTube with my audio recordings, and I'm working on getting in-person recordings. So you guys be blessed, and I hope to see you all very soon in your city. My prayer is that soon I'll be able to travel and meet with different people, organizations, and my sponsors to really just build a stronger community with my platform. So you guys have a blessed day and enjoy your July. Happy 4th of July to you all, and I will see you soon. Until then, be easy.